Back again. Fresh off of vacay. Took the family down to Disney. Had a magical time. There's a lot of shit going on. A lot of shit was going on. But the mission was successful. Yeah. Oh, I guess I could share my Disney haul with you guys. This was the first thing I had to get. I had to get many. I had to get many back, Chief. Um, this is a symbol. My grandma, yo, used to call her Minnie. I remember at her funeral, they had the, they had like the little sign up, and they had her shit, and they did like a mini thing. So, and then I got this one too. I ain't opened her up yet though. She in there chilling. She in there chilling. That joint. And then my daughter got me this joint. I ain't even put these niggas on altar yet. Magic wand. That one, you niggas. You know what I'm saying? Shit dope. Shit dope. Shit dope. Damn joint. Then I had to take the magic back and grab this joint. Yeah, had to get that cap up off of him. We got some other shit, but that was like those are for spiritual purposes. But yeah, we took them out there, had a blast. But now it's time to do our mathematics. Hit these books. I got some things lined up. Get into some. Get into some Kali, because she was coming through. Let's get into some Kali. I'm gonna go ahead and get into these chakras and this Kundalini thing. I got some stuff lined up, so let's get to it. Let's hit the books. All right, this is Elaine Nilu. Nilu. It looked like Daniel, but it got Luke with a like. This is Myths and Gods of India. Pretty thick. You know what I'm saying? Got a lot of the bits in there. But let's get to it. Kali, the power of time. The chief quality of the eternal night is eternity. That is the transcendent power of time. Mahakali, also called the origin, Adya, or the first power, Pratama. Conceived as a divinity, power of time is represented as a goddess, consort aspect of Shiva, known as transcendent time, Mahakali. Time, Kala, is that which disassociates all things. It is considered the cosmological aspect of Shiva the Destroyer. I am time, ever inclined to destroy the worlds, says the Bhagavad Gita. Kali, feminine form of the word Kala, is taken to represent the energy or power of time. The image of Kali. The Kali Tantra depicts the image of Kali most fearful. Her laughter shows her dreadful teeth. She stands upon a corpse. She has 4 arms. Her hands hold a sword and a head and show gestures of removing fear and granting boons. She is the auspicious divinity of sleep, the consort of Shiva. Naked, clad only in space, the goddess is resplendent. Her tongue hangs out. She wears a garland of heads, such as the form worthy of meditation of the power of time. Kali, who dwells near the funeral pyres, the corpse. Kali is represented as the supreme night. She swallows all that exists. She therefore stands upon non-existence, upon the corpse of the ruined universe. So long as the power that gives life to the universe remains predominant, it is favorable, Shiva. But when it is without strength, it becomes as a corpse. Hence it is said that without I, symbol of his power, the Lord of life, Shiva, is a corpse, Sava. The lifeless body is indeed the symbol of whatever is left of the manifested universe when it reverts to the sole control of eternal time. At the time of universal destruction, power of destruction is all that remains. It can well be represented as standing upon the debris of a universe in ruins, which lies powerless as a corpse. The fearful appearance at the end of the fight, when the warrior finishes the vanquished enemy and remains alone on the field of battle, his appearance inspires no emotion but fear. Who could dare to look him in the face? So terrible is Kali. Her dread of appearance is the symbol of her boundless power of destruction. The laughter. The conqueror laughs in his triumph. That laughter is the expression of absolute dominion over all that exists. It mocks at those who, in the folly of their vanity, hope to escape. The 4 arms. The 4 arms of Kali represent the 4 directions of space identified with the complete cycle of time. Completeness is usually represented by the 4 corners. With her 4 arms, she stands as a symbol of the fulfillment of all and the absoluteness of her dominion over all that exists. In the strict language of symbolism, her 4 arms always represent the idea of absolute dominion. This is also the meaning of the cross. The sword represents the power of destruction. Severed head. The warrior keeps as a trophy the head of his victim. This trophy shows the living and fate they must expect. The severed head in the hand of the goddess reminds all living beings that there is no escape from the omnipotence of time, Kali. The hand removing fear. So long as there exists existence, there is fear of destruction. Fear is inherent in all forms of existence. Fear is the law of all that exists. Out of fear of him, fire burns. Out of fear, the sun shines. All that has a limit fears what is beyond its limit. Only absolute time, Mahakala, which pervades all things and has no limit, knows no fear. The Upanishads say that he alone who exists beyond the beyond exists without fear. Kali, the power of time that destroys all, is the embodiment of all fear. While she herself is beyond fear, she alone, who is beyond fear, can protect from fear those who invoke her. This is the meaning of the hand removing fear. The giving hand. All of the pleasures of the world are transient. All human joy is but momentary and feeble perception of our true nature, which is unbounded joy. But such perception cannot last and is soon veiled by pain. True happiness can only exist in that which is permanent. The only power of time is permanent. It alone can grant happiness. Thus, Kali is the giver of bliss. This is represented by her giving hand, the garland of skulls. Life and death are inseparable. There is no life without death, no death without life. Hence, there must be a common support for life and death. She who supports the living as well as the dead is the supreme happiness. She is the only help of the living and the only help of the dead. All life rests on her, and on her also depends whatever remains after life. Death is not immediate, total annihilation. The dead leave traces behind, which also rest upon her. Hence, she's represented as wearing on her breast a garland of skulls, the skulls that once carried life and are left behind as the reminders of death. The nakedness. The universe, which is created and pervaded by all eternal power of time, is also its veil. Having created it, he entered it. When the universe is destroyed, the power of time remains without a veil, naked. Hence, the goddess is clad in space, having the vast emptiness of space as her only vesture. The funeral pyre. She is to be found near the funeral pyre of the world in destruction. There alone is she to be attained. Hence, she is spoken of as dwelling near funeral grounds. The black color, being the embodiment of the tendency toward dispersion or obscuration, timeless Kali is black. But why should the primordial energy, of whom the sun and the moon are the eyes, and by whose light the world is illuminated, be spoken of as black? The dark like the fearful clouds of the hour of destruction. It is replied that she is dark because she is the ultimate energy, in which all distinctions appear. In the power of time, all colors dissolve into darkness. All shapes return to shapelessness and the all-pervading darkness of the eternal night. Right? That was a real thorough breakdown. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna give her some more depth. The dark. This is Kali, the black goddess of the Dakshineswar. This is Elizabeth U. Harding. This was Panic put me onto this one. Might have been another Bobby Panic thing, but I know definitely Panic was saying get down with Kali. This is the one to get right. This is one of the ones to get. And like she was a woman that basically I think she went over there because it's kind of like her account. You know what I mean? She like went over there, went to the temples, was really trying to get down and see what was going on. Got like real photographs of like the people, you know, at the temples doing stuff. So I came through and I was grabbed a few pieces to share. Just keep it going. All right, Kali the Black Goddess. This is page 38. Now the question arises, why would anyone want to worship the terrible mother of the cremation ground? According to Tantrics, one spiritual disciplines practiced in a cremation ground brings success quickly. Sitting next to corpses and other images of death, one is able to transcend the pair of opposites, i.e., good, bad, love, hate, etc., much faster than another who blocks out the unpleasant aspects of life. The cremation grounds ghastly images arouse instant ren- uh, renunciation in the mind and help the tantric to get rid of the attachment for the body. Actually, yeah, that's very interesting. It's kind of like creation and destruction. They can't escape each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like you die in you die in this world, you born in another form. You know what I'm saying? Another existence or what have you. So it's these things go hand in hand. Actually, to overcome one's attachment is not as difficult as mastering one's aversion. There we go. With a bit of discipline and willpower, most people can renounce their attractions and desires, but only a rare few can ever overcome their aversions. Conquer both and thereby achieve same-sightedness. Tantrics practice the most extreme esoteric sadhana. Some of their more gruesome methods include the tasting of excretion and the eating of flesh from a burning corpse. Wow. One of the first things to occur when one tries to understand Tantra is one's realization of how much Western views on life differ from Indian thought on the subject in general. In India, the goal of life is God. There you go. And the person who has achieved realization of God is the most highly regarded. Kings, queens, and prime ministers bow down to such a person. But in the West, people measure the success of a person by his or her worldly achievements. The richest and most famous people are regarded most highly by the rest of society. This fundamental difference in attitude toward the goal of one's life between the West and the East has often caused an unfortunate communication gap. Kali is perhaps one of the most misunderstood forms of God. The ordinary Western mind perceives Kali as hideous and absurd, forgetting that some of the symbols of Western faith have the same effect on the Hindu. While Christians believe in a God that is all good and a devil that is all bad, Hindus believe in only one universal power which is beyond good and bad. To explain this concept, they give the example of fire. Same fire that cooks one's food can burn down one's house. Still, can one call fire good or bad? Kali is the full picture of the universal power. She is mother, the benign, and mother. She is mother, the benign, and mother, the terrible. She creates and nourishes, and she kills and destroys. By her magic, we see good and bad, but in reality, there is neither. This whole world and all we see is a play of Maya, the veiling power of the Divine Mother. God is neither good nor bad nor both. God is beyond the pair of opposites which constitute this relative existence. Keep going. Keep going. All right. See here. Symbols. Kali comes from the word Kala of time. She is the power of time, devours all. Setting, the power that destroys, is depicted in terms of awe-inspiring terror. Kali is found in the cremation ground amid the dead bodies. She is standing in a challenging posture to prostrate the body of her husband Shiva. Kali cannot exist without him. Shiva cannot reveal himself without her. She is the manifestation of Shiva's power energy. Complexion. While Shiva's complexion is pure white, Kali is the color of the darkest night, a sleek bluish black in the limitless void. Kali has swallowed up everything without a trace, hence she is black. Her luxuriant hair is disheveled and thereby symbolizes Kali's boundless freedom. Another interpretation says that each hair is a individual soul and all souls have their roots in Kali. Eyes. She has three eyes. The third one stands for wisdom. Tongue. Her tongue is protruding, a gesture of coyness because she is unwittingly stepped on the body of her husband Shiva. The more philosophical interpretation, Kali's tongue symbolizes Raha's color red. Activity is held by her teeth, symbolizing Sattva. The color white, spirituality. Arms. Kali has 4 arms. The posture of her right arm promises fearlessness and booms, while her left arm hold a bloody sword and a freshly severed, bleeding human head. Looking at Kali's right, we see good. Looking at her left, we see bad. Dress. Kali is naked, clad in space, except for a girdle of human arms cut off at the elbow and a garland of 50 skulls. The arms represent the capacity for work. Kali wears all work, action, potential work, and the results thereof around her waist. The 50 skulls that make up her garland represent the 50 letters of the alphabet, the manifest state of sound from which all creation evolves. One should not jump to the conclusion that Kali represents only the destructive aspect of God's power. What exists when time is transcended, the eternal night of limitless peace and joy, is also called Kali Maharatri. And it is she who prods Shiva, Mahadeva, into the next cycle of creation. In short, she is the power of God in all his aspects. She's the transformer. Okay. This one, Mark, let's see. Okay. Kali is the mistress of time, the cause of worldly change, and as such, she consumes all things. All beings and all things must yield to her in the end. Our desires and hopes, our family, romantic ties, our friends, possessions, and hardened success in business. As the eternal, indifferent time, she confronts man with his pitiful, finite attachments, swallows them up, and produces them again in a different form, in a different time. God created a universe and then entered into it, veiling his divinity with his bewitching Maya. Through Kali's grace, a spiritual aspirant can tear those veils. Hindus view time. Okay, here we go. Yeah, because gonna get into like the yugas and all that. Because I came across that stuff, but I'm not gonna perpetrate like I actually know that shit. So I guess this is about to break it down for us a little bit. So this is something I definitely want to check out. Let's see. All right. Hindus view time as cyclical. One cycle, right? How do you say this shit? Cyclic, cyclical. One cycle is divided into 4 yugas. Kurta, the golden age, which is 1,728,000 years. Trita, which is 1,296,000 years. The Vapara, 864,000 years. And Kali, the Iron Age, 432,000 years. Each cycle of the 4 yugas is called a Mahayuga and lasts for 4,320 years. 1,000 Mahayugas, or is that 4 billion? Yeah, 4,320,000,000 years is equal to 1 day in Brahma's life, which sees the creation of the world in the morning and its dissolution in the evening. Brahma lives for 100 Brahma years, or 311 trillion, I guess, 40 billion human years, and then he himself dissolves for a Brahma century during which nothing exists but primeval substance until the great cycle begins again. Okay. Kali is the devourer of time, Kala, and then resumes her own dark formlessness. Each division of time has a different deity, and each smaller division is swallowed by a higher one. Thus, a second is swallowed by a minute. A second is swallowed by a minute by an hour, a day is swallowed by night, and both are consumed by a week. A year disappears into an age, which is consumed by a cycle, and a cycle is swallowed whole by Ma Kali. Taking an example out of everyday life, Sri Ramakrishna explained the dissolution and evolution concept of creation in a way that everybody can understand. Yeah, because, I mean, I get it, but like, all these goddamn numbers, you know what I mean? Let's get to what the hell, you know. But that one where he say, like, you know, a second is swallowed by a minute, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a baseline understanding of the concepts. You know what I'm saying? Because then you can actually understand the wild, crazy shit. All right. Okay. After the destruction of the universe, at the end of the great cycle, the Divine Mother garners the seeds for the next creation. She is like the elderly mistress of the house who has a hodgepodge pot in which she keeps different articles for household use. Oh yes, housewives have pots like that where they keep blue pills, small bundles of seeds of cucumber, pumpkin, and gourd, and so on. They take them out when they want them. In the same way, after the destruction of the universe, my Divine Mother, the embodiment of Brahman, gathers together the seeds for the next creation. After the creation, the primal power dwells in the universe itself. She brings this she she brings forth this phenomenal world and then pervades it. In the Vedas, creation is likened to the spider and its web. Spider brings the web out of itself and then remains in it. God is the container of the universe and also what is contained in it. Good stuff. Go, Kali. Give you some more love. Let's go. Many people ridicule or look down on Tantra as a religion because Tantra prescribes a non-traditional sadhana they consider blasphemous. Tantric offers the Divine Mother Panka Makara, or the five items of worship: fish, meat, parched cereals or money, wine, and sexual union. Page 81, Kali within the human body. Kali is the mystical indweller in every human body. When she lies in the Muladhara lotus like a sleeping serpent at the base of the spinal cord, she is called Kundalini. When, through the yogic disciplines, she becomes aroused, pierces the Sushumna channel, and rises upward. She has different names depending on the chakra in which she resides. In the Heart Chakra, she is called Hamsa. In the chakra between the eyebrows, she is called Bindu. Once she reaches the Sahasrara Chakra at the crown of the head, she becomes formless transcendental consciousness. So Kali is Kundalini. Okay. Yeah. Kali's bone. The devotee who surrenders to the Divine Mother obtains everything: joy in life and joy in death. All becomes bliss and all becomes play. Kali's bone is one. When man confronts or accepts her and the realities she dramatically conveys to him. Image of Kali, in a variety of ways, teaches man that pain, sorrow, decay, death, and destruction are not to be overcome or conquered by denying them or explaining them away. Pain and sorrow are woven into the texture of man's life so thoroughly that to deny them is ultimately futile and foolish. You want to cry? Let it out. For man to realize the fullness of his being, man to exploit his potential as a human being, he must finally accept his dimension of existence. Kali's boon is freedom, the freedom of the child to reveal in the moment, and it is won only after confrontation or acceptance of death. Ramakrishna's childlike nature does not stem from his ignorance of things as they really are, but from his realization of things as they really are. He is able to revel in the moment, for he knows that to live any other way is a denial of other things as they are. To ignore death, to pretend that one is physically immortal, to pretend that one's ego is the center of things, is to provoke Kali's mocking laughter. To confront or accept death, on the contrary, is to realize the mode of being that can delight and revel in the play of the gods. To accept one's mortality is to be able to act superfluously, flawlessly, superfluously, to let go, be able to sing, dance, shout. To win Kali's boon is to become childlike. There we go. To be flexible, open, and naive like a child is to act and be like Ramakrishna, who delighted in the world as Kali's play, who acted without calculation and behaved like a fool or a child. They mean that in a sense of innocence. That's where you get that fool, the tarot card. That's why that card is so powerful. It's like the pawn. If you make it, you can become whatever you want to be. If you make it across the board. Mother Kali creates when she feels like it, and then again destroys her creation. Then she destroys her creation when she feels like it. All in fun. Just like a child who spends a long time to build a sandcastle with great care and then, on the spur of a moment, destroys it with great delight. Bondage and liberation are both of her making, said Sri Ramakrishna. By her, Maya worldly people become entangled in lust and greed, and again, through her grace they attain their liberation. She is called the Savior and the remover of the bondage that binds one to the world. Right? Kali Ma. So, you know that Kali is Kundalini. Touched on that Bindu too. This is like my little midpoint. I came across this. I wanted to do this. Yeah. So when we're talking about this Kundalini and these chakras and things, you can't get away from meditation. You know what I'm saying? Slowing down your brain waves, putting your intent on it, focus, visualization, all of these types of things come into play. This is out of Darkness Visible by Ross Heaven and Simon Buxton. Awakening Spiritual Light Through Darkness Meditation. Got some stuff in here. I just got it. Need to really go in it, but skimmed through it and I found something to share tonight. Meditative Mind. This is page 61. What I give form to in daylight is only 1% of what I have seen in darkness. In the American Journal of Psychotherapy, Del Monte writes that a central aspect of meditation is its constriction. That is, during meditation with our eyes closed, the mind is constricted in that a reduced number of eternal experiences are presented to it. We have much less sensory input available to us from the world, and in any case, by the very nature of the experience, we do not focus on the meaning of this input, but rather on the experience beyond knowing that is characterized by the cessation of mental processes. For the meditator, the past, present, and future all consist of one experience, the experience itself. This, in radical contrast to the normal expectations of social living, in which habitual responses requiring little use of brain power are determined by accessing cues to behavior based on known events and likely outcomes from familiar actions. We are always thinking ahead, reflecting on the past, weighing options, assessing environmental risks, and so on. In other words, not being present here and now with the experience of living. During meditation, however, we are focused precisely on experience itself, and because our awareness is not being channeled into a behavior pattern, we are able to access more of our mind's potential, more of that 95% that conventionally remains unused. In darkness, we see the same effects. One of our retreat participants, Allison, explains why. Then they went into somebody's example. Some good stuff. Being in the now. We talk about that. Being in the now. All right. Let's see what we got. Let's keep it going. This is the Chakras by Harish Mahari. One of those ones. Got some beautiful artwork in this joint. This joint is fire with the illustrations and designs, this and that. Cool, but you know. The one that got the ill artwork. But let's keep it going. Shit, I got see chapter 1, page 6. It got a nice intro, so I'm gonna read that. Principles of Tantra Yoga. Scriptures of Tantra Yoga are dialogues between Shiva, the infinite supreme consciousness, and Shakti, the divine mother. The dialogues, coming together, the merging. The eternal energy of supreme consciousness. When Shakti becomes manifested as Shiva's counterpart to enact his divine sport play in time and space, she asks him questions about methods to live in peace and how to use one's lifetime in a fruitful manner. Knowing that people, only common insight, have difficulty in grasping the truth of the sacred or Vedic teachings. Shiva simplifies and modifies them. Shiva simplifies and modifies them. What we trying to do? What I'm trying to do? Simplify. By incorporating new processes and practices, he makes the teachings more adaptable, practical, absorbing, powerful, and accessible to a large number of the divine mother's beloved children. This simplified version of the sacred teachings was termed Tantra Yoga by the followers of Shakti. In Tantra Yoga, the aspirant has to see himself or herself as a microcosm. Then it is not necessary to search for anything outside oneself. Yes. The body is one's instrument. Yes. The journey is not outside but inside. That's it. The journey is not outside but inside. Starting from the Muladhara Chakra, one's own base. Spiritual energy is dormant and coiled up. This spiritual energy is the Divine Mother Shakti herself in the form of Kundalini. She is longing for union with her beloved and Supreme Shiva. Supreme Shiva, who is in eternal bliss in the Sahasrara Chakra at the top of the cranium. Her arousal is delayed by the constant mental activity that draws the aspirant to the world of sense perception in search of the satisfaction of his or her desires. In everyday life, the mind is usually involved with material existence and does not go beyond the sensory boundary. It perceives the world, thinks, wills, desires, and feels pleasures and pains. It serves the I consciousness. Tantra practices lead the mind to its higher aspect, where it completely closes its door to the world and does not desire, think, will, but realize the supreme truth and thus merges into the supreme consciousness. Tantra is a practical approach to the truth that is beyond words. It deals with a person's psycho-physical energy, first directing it to function correctly and then transforming that energy into spiritual energy so that a direct experience of truth becomes possible. Tantra knows that the human organism is capable of realizing truth beyond the realm of sensory perception. With the help of memory, imagination, and intuition, a person can grasp the law of nature and can put otherwise mysterious forces to work for one's benefit, growth, and development. You can wield the sword. With the perfect synchronization of interior and exterior rhythms, one can follow the path of least resistance and float freely in the ocean of the phenomenal world without getting drowned. To be precise, the human body is the most perfect instrument for the expression of consciousness. Righty. Oh, this is dope. All right. So, with this image, breaking it down, because like I like this. This is what I like. My bad. But it's not what you think it's saying though. I'm gonna tell you what it's saying. Uh it don't say like the root chakra. It says like, okay, the root chakra, it doesn't say that. It says the root chakra, it just says security. So it's dealing with your emotional body, what the whole chakra thing is. Your feelings. You know what I'm saying? So security. The second one, sexuality, family. The third chakra, immortality, authority, name, fame. Heart chakra, love, faith, devotion, duty. Your throat chakra, knowledge. That line up with Doth. You know what I mean? You get into the Kabbalah, that lines up. Third eye joint, realization, austerity, penance, clairvoyance, intuition. And then the top, union. I like that breakdown. That helps. That's something. That helps you understand it instead of like the shana chakra. Like no disrespect, you know what I mean? That's what they call it. But I'm saying like this is the nuts and bolts. You know, that's what we trying to get to. All right. So yeah, that one was dope. So, but this is a good one. He go in. It's bad shit in this one. But I got mad Kundalini books, so we gonna keep going. All right. This one. Evolution and Enlightenment. Kundalini. John White. Y'all see it. All right. Where was I? Oh yeah. This one was dropping. Okay, let's go. This is page 120. Are chakras real? When all the knots of the heart are unloosened, then even here in this human birth, the mortal becomes immortal. This is the whole teachings of the scriptures. Katha Upanishads. The ordinary human body, as Freud has extensively documented, is under a sway of well-organized tyranny, a tyranny imposed by a separate self sense of flight from death, and in flight from loving unity with the world of phenomena. Under these circumstances, the self does not concisely participate in the light and life of the Adi Buddha, the Godhead, the Brahman, and is forced to retreat instead to the pale substitute of mental and symbolic forms, with a corresponding deformation of the body. Hence, the being consciousness bliss of one's formless self is distorted and constricted, and under this tyranny appears the restricted forms known as the chakras. It is for this reason that the chakras are properly referred to by the terms knots, contraction. In the Chandogya Upanishad, we read, in acquiring the traditional doctrine, there is release from all knots. And in the Muladhara Upanishad, he verily who knows that Supreme Brahma becomes very Brahman, liberated from the knots of the heart. He becomes immortal. Likewise, according to the Sutra, Sakyamuni Buddha explains liberation as the final dissolution of the knots we have tied in the essential unity of our own mind. And yet, strictly speaking, final liberation, being, being the timeless and therefore eternal condition of all worlds and selves, is not so much the result of the action of untying these knots, but rather the tacit. It ain't tactic. Tacit. Yes, I guess it's tacit. Let me get that over again, because that word was tricky for me. And yet, strictly speaking, final liberation, being the timeless and therefore eternal condition of all worlds and selves, is not so much the result of the action of untying these knots, but rather the tacit acknowledgement that these knots do not and cannot obstruct ultimate consciousness. Acknowledgement that these knots do not and cannot obstruct ultimate consciousness. Right? Liberation, in short, liberation, in short, is not the actual untying of these knots, but the silent admission that they are already untied. Herein lies the key to the paradox of the chakras. They are ultimately dissolved in the realization that they need not be dissolved. Like, get out your own way. Get out your own way. Finally, therefore, the chakras are not real in the sense that they do not pose a barrier of self-realization, nor do they constitute mandatory stages of an upward climb to liberation. In the last analysis, there are only two stages in eternity, nor any ladder to the infinite that does not begin with the infinite. That the chakras in themselves are not real in the conclusion of most of the great sages, Siddhas, mystics, and masters, such as Krishnamurti, Sri Ramana Maharshi, Shakara, Baba Free John, and virtually all Qian and Zen masters. To quote but one of the illustrious Sri Ramana Maharshi, do not waste time meditating on chakras, nadis, padmas, or mantras of deities, or anything else of that kind. The six subtle center chakras are merely mental pictures and are meant for beginners in yoga. And yet, let me add some more to that. And this is the point to which much of our discussion must be directed. The chakras do appear real in the separate self who constructs these knots, in his flight both from death and from the prior unity with all manifestations. The flight from death generates time, while the flight from unity generates space. Hit that again. Flight from death generates time, while the flight from unity generates space. Now, the self-created world of time and space, by all accounts, the world of samsara, the ropes of our own bondage and suffering, and the chakras are but the knots in these binding ropes of misery. There are an enormous number of descriptions and explanations for the genesis of these knots and awareness, given from several different angles by the major metaphysical traditions. There are, to name some, the Sephiroth of the Kabbalah, the Vijnananyas of the Yogacara, and the Kosas of the Vedanta, the hierarchies of the Neo-Confucians, the Kui-Hui intervals of the Taoists, the transmutation series of the alchemists, and the energetics of the Tantras. All of these deal, in one way or another, with the apparent hierarchy of knots man has tied in his consciousness. But there is a secreted secreted in the books of Freud and eloquently explained by the likes of Brown, Marcuse, and Lacan, an explanation in the most rudimentary form of the evolution of the chakra knots, an explanation that might be better suited to a Western readership, and therefore one I will briefly outline. The infant, according to psychoanalytic observations, is under sway of polymorphous perversity and moves solely by the pleasure principle, which means that the child lives in a non-corruptible, blissful, and erotic unity with all of nature. For all practical purposes, its awareness is transpersonal, timeless, and spaceless. Very simple. Its world is one of transcendent bliss, and for this reason alone, for it was quite right in announcing Much of the horror of his contemporaries that children have a richer, more extensive, and more satisfying sex life than adults. For the infant takes equal erotic and blissful delight in all orgasms, surfaces, and activities of the body, and thus his entire cosmos is one of bliss, while the normal adult finds exuberance and bliss, if at all, in only one specific and narrow region of the body, the genitals. Genital bliss can thus only be viewed in comparison with the body's natural possibilities as a constriction, a restriction, a cramp, a knot. Now it is not so much genital sexuality that comprises this knot, but rather the restriction of bliss to only one specific region of the body, excluding all others. This restriction of transcendent bliss is thus normal, but not normal. It is but one peculiar arrangement of infinite possibilities. How then comes this unnatural restriction of man's potential participation of transcendent bliss? According to the last formulations with Freud, which, alas, are carefully scrubbed out of all modern psychiatric texts, which restriction is engineered by a separate self, since in flight from death and from loving unity with all objects. For the infant's earliest identity is literally with the cosmos itself, a type of immature cosmic consciousness. He cannot distinguish his world from his actions upon it, nor differentiate self from other subject from object, inside from outside. He knows nothing of the illusions of space nor time, and thus, as Jung constantly emphasized, lives in a transpersonal and supra-individual world. Good stuff, buddy. Guys should get this one. Just the way he's approaching this thing. And look at his bibliography. But yeah, the bibliography is pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. He got suggestions for further exploration. And this one. Yeah. Shit, he give you like motherfucking. Hold on, no. Just gonna start. This is about the authors. He give you about 10 pages of bibliography. He even give you the fucking centers, the places, organizations, periodicals, articles. Yeah, this is a pretty good one. John White, Kundalini. Cop that one. Getting down to it. Kundalini by Ajit. Classic joint. Alrighty. This is another one of those ones that got the fly artwork in it. Alright. Gonna do our math. Human experience owes to Tantra the discovery and location of the centers of psychic energy, chakras in the subtle or astral body. Kundalini Shakti, coiled in dormant cosmic energy, is at the same time the supreme force in the human organism. Every individual is a manifestation of that energy, and the universe around us is the outcome of the same consciousness, ever revealing itself in various modes. The passage of the awakened Kundalini through the various chakras is the subject of a unique branch of tantric esoteric knowledge, whose goal is the merging of the Kundalini energy with cosmic consciousness so that one may realize one's real self, ultimately unfolding the mysteries of the whole universe. Sounds interesting. Kundalini is the origin of primordial sound. Hence, Muladhara Chakra has been called the birthplace of all sounds. There are 4 states of sound from gross to most subtle, and are sound manifested as forms, sound in its subtle form, sound in which the view of the universe is undifferentiated form, and unmanifested sound. Vigari is the level of audible sound produced by the striking together of 2 surfaces or the plucking of a string. Madhyama is the transition stage between heard sound and inner vibration. The Pashyanti is the sound. The sound is heard only by the spiritually awakened aspirant, and by the time the parastage from the Sanskrit transcendental or beyond is reached, the sound has passed far beyond the audible. Para lies deeper than, not paralyzed, but para lies deeper than ordinary silence. It is an inner decibel that is experienced as the unrealized root sound or sound potential. It is sound with practically no vibration, which has an infinite wavelength. It is para, which corresponds to Kundalini Shakti. In accordance with the theory of the 4 states of sound, it is shown then how 14 Sanskrit vowels, or rather the A as the common root, gradually emerge from latent conditions by producing with the Kundalini Shakti from the Muladhara to the navel, the heart, and finally the throat centers, where the first uttering sound arising is the aspirate. For which reason the Visarga is interpreted literally as creation. Its counterpart, the Asuvara or Bindu, being in an analogous way declared to represent the withdrawal, samahara of speech. Okay, getting scientific. Okay, the upward journey through the self refines and subtilizes the energy that is the Kundalini until at the 6th chakra, Anya, center of command. Qualitative change that has taken place. This is, as it were, the last pause in the climb from stula, concrete and perceptible matter through sukshma, the subtle, the casual, or ultimate state of being that Kundalini will encounter at the Brahmarandra, the opening at the point of perfected being. Each chakra, according to the Tantras, correspond to one of the elements of which the known world is compounded, and of which the individual constitution is but a simulacrum. Let's look that up. Let's look that one up. Where's that word at? Simulacrum. Yeah. Likeness. Okay. Well, nothing too complicated. I just wanted to make sure, because if you put some weird ass tails at the end of words. All right. Gases. Okay. Aerial. Okay, so they're giving you all the breakdowns of the energy. So okay, Muladhara is solidity. This one is liquidity, and it's gaseous, aerial, etherical, or space. One can see the whole process as a progressive transformation of the elements with an increase of vitality. In the Vishuddha center, beyond the four elements, one reaches a sphere of abstraction, the center of space, akasa, the principle of perpetuity. And one steps beyond the empirical world, as it were, and beyond the world of concepts. Jung, using the language of archetypes for the residual images retained in the collective unconscious and surface in dreams and myths and in creative psyche, has suggested the mandala or cone of experience by which to visualize this journey. He sees it as a spiral climb inwards and upwards from the circumference of the sphere or the base of the cone into the point experience or crest experience at the center of the being. The dynamization, transformation, and sublimation of the physical, mental, and spiritual state is only possible with the arousal of Kundalini Shakti and her reorientation from downward to upward movement as she rises to unite with Shiva, resulting in the flooding of the whole being with indescribable bliss. The aspirant raises himself from the grosser elements to the subtler and realized and transcendental experience his union Shiva Shakti to become a cosmic man. Uh-oh. Cosmic. Yeah, this got a little dope little joint. It got like the plane. It go heavy too into like the planes of existence. You got the numbers. Planes of existence. So it got like one, the Bindu seed or the Bindu point, like Bobby used to talk about. The half moonlight, subtle. Number two is half moonlight, subtle energy. Three is subtle energy of sound. Four, five, and six are creative pulsation of sound and light. Seven and eight is Shakti Tativa. Nine is Omani, super consciousness beyond mind. And then the Mahabindu, the absolute void. And that could be your girl Kali, right there at the top. Wait, right there at the top. Yeah. Okay. I think we're getting a little handle on this thing. Keep going. All right, let's run. I'm gonna go ahead and run through them real quick. All right, the first chakra is often called the Earth Chakra. This is coming out of Kundalini Awakening, a gentle guide to chakra activation and spiritual growth, written by John Shelby. The first chakra, often called the Earth Chakra. First chakra lies at the base of your spine and is the energetic gateway between organic world of Mother Earth beneath you and the mental, spiritual worlds that can be awakened step by step up your spine. This chakra strongly connects beauty of childhood, past, and the entire world outside of your physical phenomenon. It therefore is of the vital importance in your life. This chakra energizes your physical development up through puberty and maintains your basic sense of physical contact with the planet. Chakra number two, your sexual chakra, located in the sexual organs, becomes activated once the work of the first chakra is completed at puberty. Through the awakening of this chakra, you move from being the creation of your parents to becoming a creative being who in turn creates the new generation. Physical system, the first chakra is a support system for sexuality. Second chakra and sexuality is a support system for further development of Kundalini and higher chakras. Third chakra, called the power chakra. The third chakra is associated with fire and combustion, with anger, joy, and laughter. It is associated between the navel and the solar plexus of the body and said to generate a mythical fire in the belly. It is The energy of the solar system radiating in our personal lives, and like the sun creates energy for us to burn. This chakra strongly influences the adrenal glands. By learning to balance your energy in this chakra, you will bring your physical and emotional condition to a point of moderation. Your heartbeat will become even and calm. Your raw willpower will become especially transformed into higher quality of spiritual presence in the world. All right. The heart chakra is located in the center of the chest and is the guiding light that shows the third chakra how to burn its raw energy in loving ways. Shows the second chakra how to manifest its sexual energy through the transmutation of love. It shows the first chakra how to merge the physical with the divine. The heart chakra is equidistant between the first and the seventh chakra between earth and heaven. It is the center point of the primary emotional energy of the universe, which we call love. It balances the chakras above and the chakras below, all of equal importance. So you can't go chakra skipping. You got to go through them all. Uh, fifth chakra. Fifth chakra is called the communication chakra, located in the throat region. In your larynx and thyroid gland, from a physical point of view, this is the center of communication, of talking and expressing our inner depths of feelings and words that the people around us can understand. Vocalization is one of the main vehicles for Kundalini awakening, as we will see later on in detail. When I speak of chanting, I speak of activating this fifth chakra and using it to empower the other chakras. Go. You gotta go. Six. The intuitive chakra. This is the chakra you find right between and above your eyes. It is traditionally referred to as the third eye. This is the seat of true wisdom. When your thinking mind comes into contact with your intuitive mind, this is where you are listening. This is where, if you are listening during meditation, God speaks to you directly. This is the seat of true wisdom, where your thinking mind comes into contact with your intuitive mind. This is where you are listening. This is where, if you are listening during meditation, God speaks to you directly. Seventh chakra is also called the crown chakra. The seventh chakra, which is located at the top of the head, is light years beyond the lower chakras. It is light years beyond the lower chakras. The true nature of the seventh chakra is beyond human comprehension. The advice of all my teachers on the Kundalini path, and mine to you as well, is not to ever try to push yourself into seventh chakra consciousness. This experience will come to you when your nervous system is fully prepared for such infinite realization and union with the creative force of the universe. Take it easy, buddy. He gets into breath on page 39. Breath and awareness, the first vehicle in action. Fear, the primary contraction agent. The basic psychological fact is that consciousness contracts in fear and relaxes and expands in peace. When we feel threatened by something, we shut it out. We close down our awareness. When we feel secure and receptive, we expand. He got a whole body chakra meditation. He walked you through it. Then he walked you through the meditation. He literally walks you through the whole meditation. Take that as a template. Freak it your way. Meditation logistics. Go ahead and touch on that. At this point, we need to ask ourselves specific questions about how to approach a regular Kundalini meditative discipline. I myself am not a great fan of extremes when it comes to meditative discipline because of the need for balance we have been speaking about in this chapter. So I'm not going to suggest that you always get up at 4 in the morning and meditate. Nor am I going to suggest that you always sit for hours at a time when you meditate. Instead, I'm going to suggest that you take responsibility for finding your own definition of the middle way. You're all right with me, buddy. There's no doubt some discipline is required, but at the same time, spontaneity must be included in your meditative plan so that those two extremes can find their own middle point. Therefore, to the extent if you feel comfortable with this, do discipline yourself to meditate at particular times each day, but also let your schedule to be open to spontaneous meditation sessions. Many people do like to get up perhaps half an hour early in the morning since there seems to be special psychic energy available before the sun comes up. Meditate each day before doing anything else. For some people prefer to meditate in the evenings when the house is quiet. Again, a peace can be found. There are certainly night people and morning people in this regard. Experiment and see which you prefer. And of course, it is quite excellent to meditate twice at both morning and evening, or at midday as well. However, we should not we should be sure not to take these traditional times as sacrosanct. The key is this: set aside half an hour of peaceful retreat time from your busy day wherever you can. Best claim such a time. Be as regular as you can, using a certain amount of discipline to motivate yourself. It does not take discipline sometimes to make that beginning effort to sit up and meditate early in the morning, or to sit down and meditate at the end of the day, or sometime in between. Nurture discipline as an admirable personal quality. Without any discipline at all in spiritual realms, there will be very little spiritual growth. And I'm going to end it with the root chakra. I like this little part, so I'm going to share this part. The first chakra, often referred to as the root chakra, is most powerfully related to our contact with Earth, our home planet. In Sanskrit, the word for this chakra is Muladhara, which translates directly as root. And in fact, the physical nerve bundle at the base of the spine that is associated with the root chakra does look like a massive root system that leaves your spine and runs down both legs as the sciatic nerve. This is the largest peripheral nerve system in your body, about as thick as your thumb, and it leaves a sacral plexus at the base of your pelvis and spreads like a great root system down each leg, all the way up to the hips, all the way up to the tips of your toes and the bottoms of your heels. This root chakra is considered a lowly, unimportant energy center by some people. By others, especially in recent years, it is revered with the utmost respect. There you have it. There you have it, buddies. So, wanted to knock that out. I knew I wanted to kind of pull the chakras and the Kundalini together because it's the same thing. And then Kali, that's basically Kundalini energy, and wanted to pull that together. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, some good books y'all to get and dive into. And shit, I was just, man, there's hella shit in there, so y'all can get y'all copies and DYOR. Shit, I'm about to see what's going on. Got no other announcements. Oh, yeah, I do. Go to spirituallylitportal.com. Keep your eyes on the site, man. The candles is about to get more better. They're about to get more better. Gonna have some different things going on. Working on some stuff where we're gonna have ones that stabilize in one color. So you can work on just the root chakra. It'll be just a red one, it's a blue one, it's a green one. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have a handful of different ones. It's very difficult to pull off the timing of the lights and stuff. So we're working that out. Y'all stay tuned. Hit the books. DYOR1.